All right, everybody. This is E. Marcel Patut, and welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Blitz. We're going to make our season predictions as well as touch on the first week of the NFL campaign, which is less than 24 hours away for listening to us on our various platforms. Thanks as always for doing that. As I mentioned on today's show, we're going to go over each conference. We're going to do some predictions as far as individual awards, and we'll go a quick recap, a preview of the first week of action. I say it's a recap as well because we got to touch on Dallas and Tampa, but we'll get to that when we get towards the week one slate. As always, to follow everything that we do, head to the mothership, the sportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. You can go on the site now and see our season predictions in written form because I didn't want any accusations of me looking at the Dallas and Tampa game and it really affecting my predictions. Honestly, it did not affect it too much. I still have. You'll see when we go over my season predictions, but it's in perpetuity. It's in print or it's online, so you cannot say I've changed my picks and did all of that stuff. So if you go on the site, you can see my predictions for the season as well as the individual awards. You can also go to our social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under Sports Inquirer. That's all one word. And finally, go to our audio and video hosts such as SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. Do a search on there for the Sports Inquirer. You can find us, subscribe to us, and you get all of our up-to-date information. All right, let's go over the conferences first. And once I do that, I will get to the Super Bowl and then those individual awards. AFC East, and I'm going to say them in order. I have Buffalo, Miami, New England, and the Jets. Buffalo made it to the AFC Championship game last year. Big steps for that program or that team. I still think that's going to take place. I think they win that division, once again. I have Miami being in the playoffs as the second place team from the AFC East. I think Tua is going to have a solid second year under Brian Flores in Miami. The defense is solid. Offensive weapons, are pretty good. You get some good talent there. I think that overall you're going to see evolution of that team, and they'll be the second place team. New England's my third place team. They're not in the playoffs. I like looking at it. I think Mac Jones was the better choice to start than Cam Newton. I think with Newton, and I may delve into this on the next show and have a little bit more time recapping the first week. But the last thing that a team wants to do, and I'm not comparing him to Colin Kaepernick because they're both black quarterbacks and things like that. Don't even try to go there with me. And I'm not saying that Newton is as politically divisive as Kaepernick is, but you don't want your backup quarterback that it's going to be more of a story off the field and the distraction. And Cam noted that in his interview with his father on his social media platforms. When you don't get the job as the starting quarterback, it was open competition, and then you do an interview on YouTube. I saw it on YouTube, but it was on other platforms. Putting all the team's business out there, like New England, and saying that your persona and referring to yourself in the third person, that you'd be a distraction and all this other stuff. You are the distraction. You are talking yourself out of the NFL, and it's unfortunate because I think he can still be one of their 32 teams. Multiply that. He's one of 64 best quarterbacks in the world. He should be on a roster. But if you keep talking like he is and doing the appearances, and look, I don't mind the wardrobe and his fashion choices, but I think a lot of teams do. You got to read the room when it comes to that. So you wear the outfits, you're on social media with a lot of cryptic tweets and text and everything like that. That's not a good sign for a team that wants to sign you. So if I was his advisor, he's not listening to me, but I would say lay off the social media, go ground zero. I say ground zero September 11th. That's a bad reference. But be quiet. Take a break from all of that stuff because you may get a call later on this season because a quarterback will inevitably get hurt, whether it's a starter or a backup, and there'll be an open roster spot for you on an NFL team. But if you keep going on these social media platforms and doing this campaign, trying to explain your story, it's not going to help the cause. But I think New England, it did sign a lot of free agents, but I think offensively, defensively, as special teams, I think they'll be all right. But I don't think they have enough offense to really compete for a playoff spot. So they're out. The Jets are last place. Really good I think Zach Wilson could be a really good quarterback. I like Saleh as a head coach, but they're a broken franchise right now. They have so much to work on and improve on. It's not their time right now. AFC North, I have Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Cincinnati. I think the Browns are for real. They are a Super Bowl contender. And we don't want to say that because of two reasons. One, it's the Browns. And ever since they've come back to Cleveland for the second time around, starting in 1999, that franchise has been one of the worst in the NFL. Just look up the numbers. They finally made the playoffs last year after a long stint not being there. Won a playoff game for the first time in a long time, in close to 20 years, more than 20 years. So those are good positive steps. But you look at that roster, both they may have a top five roster talent wise in all of the NFL. And they get Odell Beckham Jr. back as a wide receiver. And say what you want about Odell, and he's coming back from the injury, so we don't know how healthy he'll be. But he gives you a number one receiver threat when he's out there, even as a decoy, and he's going to be productive if he's healthy and gets back into shape. Baker Mayfield's the biggest question with that team. They have a lot of talent. If he's safe with the ball and they rely on the running game behind with running backs Chubb and Hunt, maybe the best running back duo in the NFL as a group, that makes things very interesting as far as Cleveland goes. I don't have them in the Super Bowl, but I think they can win that division. Pittsburgh, I think they'll bounce back. TJ Watt's back in the fold. He signed his long-term deal. I think Roethlisberger has one more decent year left in him. You gotta remember last year, started the year 11-0. They weren't going to go undefeated, but we thought, man, Pittsburgh could be a viable Super Bowl contender, and it completely fell apart for them in the end of the regular season. And when they lost that wild card game to the Browns. So that's just, I think they still could rebound and be a decent team, be in the playoffs. Baltimore, besides the injuries, which they've been hit with so hard, guys, not only just like injury for a few weeks, out for the season. Peters, top cornerback, running backs, they're down to their third and fourth string. Had to bring in Le'Veon Bell just to have enough running backs, I should say, to field the team. They're in a bad spot. I think that Greg Roman's offense has been stagnant under Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson's a really good talent, but they rely so much on the running game. If anything, maybe this will give them a chance to throw the ball more because I think they run the ball a lot, which is good, but they lack dynamic aspects to their offense to make them viable contenders. And I don't think they'll have enough to be a playoff team. Cincinnati, similar to the Jets, I like a Joe Burrow, good quarterback, coming back from the knee injury and everything like that. The Jamar Chase stuff, him not being able to catch the ball because it's different and he's not seeing it well. Yeah, you have the drops as a rookie and you're complaining about the ball. That's not a good sign, but I think he'll come around. He's too talented. He'll work around it. But I think the Bengals just have a lot of work to do, and it's not going to be their time. The AFC South, Tennessee, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Houston. We'll start with the two worst teams, Jacksonville and Houston. I think Jaguars are a good. I like Trevor Lawrence. He could be a special talent. I don't like Urban Meyer as a head coach, at least at the professional level. College, he's an all timer. At the professional level, I have a lot of questions, but they're not going to be very good this year. Houston, the Deshaun Watson situation, he's a top five, at worst, top 7 or 8 quarterback in all the NFL. He's inactive. They're not even playing him. We know why with the off field situation. But that's not gonna. When Tyrod Taylor is a starter and Watson is healthy and should be ready to play and go, that's a bad situation. First year head coach, Houston's going to be rough. Tennessee and Indianapolis, that was a coin flip. I'm taking the better quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, and just a better team with better stability. And I'm taking the Titans to win that division. They may have a chance to be the best offense in the NFL. With A.J. Brown there, Julio Jones, that's a big trade for them. If he's healthy and motivated, he can still, some say still the best receiver in the NFL. Physically, I think he is right there. But you got mentally, he does check out at times. But I think he'll be motivated, new team, he'll be ready to go. Derrick Henry, he'll be 2,000-yard rusher, best running back in the league. Nothing much to complain there about him. Indianapolis is a good team too. I just don't know about Carson Wentz. He's been out with COVID and then with that foot injury. I think he's going to have a very slow start to the season, and their schedule is very tough in the beginning. I think that's going to cost them in the long run. I look at the West. Kansas City is the clear best team in that division. Though in that the other three teams, you can kind of make arguments for each of these teams finishing second. I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers. I think Justin Herbert, is going to make a big step this year, put himself in MVP consideration. So I'm just taking him as far as, and they have a really good defense too. So I'm taking the Chargers to finish second, and Broncos are third. Las Vegas is fourth. None of those other three teams in the West are going to make the playoffs, so I have Kansas City in there. Defending conference champions, they bring a lot back. Their defense is still suspect, but I think they have enough at least to win the division. With Pat Mahomes, they're going to roll and win that division. My conference championship game, I have Buffalo over Kansas City. I think that the Bills will find a way to be in the Super Bowl. So I'm very intrigued by that. Look, Josh Allen's going to have a big year. They have really good receivers led by Diggs. They have solid running. Their defense under McDermott is going to be top five, top 10 in the NFL. They're just a very, very solid team. So I'm picking Buffalo to defeat Kansas City. I honestly think Kansas City will probably be in the Super Bowl for the AFC, but I want to be a little different. I'll take Buffalo to win that game. Oh, in that conference title game. NFC, Dallas is the best team in the NFC least by a good margin. Look, Washington's defense is very good, but Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback, too up and down. I can't rely on him. The Giants defense is actually pretty good, probably one of the top 10 defenses in the NFL, but I have minimal optimism or hope for Daniel Jones at quarterback. He does nothing for me. Saquon Barkley coming back at running back, that's really good, but coming off a really bad ACL injury, how sharp will he be in the beginning of the year to help them out? I just think the Giants they have 6-11 written all over them. I don't trust them at all. Philadelphia, similar deal. Jalen Hurts is going to play this year. They're going to ride that out. That Gardner Minshew signing, I did not like. They traded for him out of Jacksonville. I don't like that because I think it shows a lack of trust in Jalen Hurts. And Minshew is a veteran backup. He can come in there and do his thing. But I think that outside of Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia does not really bring much to the table. So they're going to finish last in that division. The North, I have two playoff teams out of the NFC North. Green Bay, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, excuse me. They bring back, I mean, they were at NFC Championship game the past 2 years. They'll be back there again this year. My predictions, they bring a lot to the table. I know the Aaron Rodgers saga, we've been very vocal about our displeasure of him with this passive aggressiveness and then being is that little presser he did when he reported to camp, all the drama surrounding him, but he thrives on that stuff. He'll be okay, and that team will be pretty darn good. I have Chicago finishing second and being a playoff team. I think Justin Fields will be the starter by the fifth or sixth game, and he'll add some energy to that offense. And the defense is not bad at all. And I'm banking on them getting some wins against Minnesota and Detroit. Detroit complete rebuild under Dan Campbell. I know Jared Goff's there. They may have the worst record in the NFL this year. Minnesota, I'm Kirk Cousins. I'm COVID issues aside, and I think he's going to get dinged at some point this year and miss a few games because of COVID and his stance on not getting vaccinated. I'm not being political. I'm not saying that he has to get the vaccine or not, but the NFL has made it clear if you're not vaccinated and you test positive, you have to be away for the team for a week at least. And then you got to figure you do the mathematics of it. He's going to miss several games, I think, at some point this year. Just being around people and he's going to get it. That's just the way it works. Lamar Jackson's in the same boat with Baltimore. You got to think about that stuff this year with all that's going on. But I think Green Bay and Chicago will be the two playoff teams there. The South, Tampa, I think is going to win that division. New Orleans is an interesting team. They're not in the playoffs, but I have them finishing second. I think Winston will be okay there. I think Sean Payton's going to dial up an offense that will suit his needs. He's going to turn the ball over more than Drew Brees did. That's just the way Winston is. He has a stronger arm. He's going to throw it deeper. That's going to mean more interception opportunities. The Michael Thomas situation, I don't like that he's coming in unhappy and things like that. But I think New Orleans can win double-digit games, but I don't think it'll be good enough to make the playoffs. Carolina, I think it's another team that's got Sam Darnold there now. They're going to try to rebuild and try to continue to build what they're trying to do. The Falcons, I just don't like the direction that they're going. I think they're trying to rebuild on the fly. If you're going to do this rebuild, bring in Arthur Smith, drafted Kyle Pitts, and everything like that, they should have moved on from Matt Ryan. And I think that they're going to try to run the ball more, but there's no Derrick Henry there like Arthur Smith had in Tennessee. So they're going to try to do this run throwing balance. I just don't think that they're going to be really good at all in the defense. I think it'd be bottom five in all of the NFL, quite honestly. And I know they have some solid players there, including uh, Grady Jarrett, who was good, playing at an all pro level as a defensive lineman. But outside of that, and AJ Terrell, he might get a pick or two this year. I think he's a solid cornerback. I don't like that defense at all. It's going to be really bad. So I had the Falcons finishing last in the NFC South. All of my Atlanta people aren't going to like that. Finally, out of the West, I have three teams making the playoffs out of there: Seattle, San Francisco, and the Rams. I think this is maybe the best division in the entire NFL. I'm taking Seattle to win it. I think defensively they'll be okay. I think Russell Wilson's the best quarterback in that division, better than Matthew Stafford. So I think that's going to win out for them. San Francisco, Will Garoppolo, Trey Lance. I think they should. They're going Garoppolo to start the season, which is wise, but he inevitably gets hurt or he's going to underperform, and his leash is very, very short. Trey Lance is going to be starting for that team within game 6 or 7, unless Garoppolo goes off on an incredibly hot start and wins his first 5 or 6 games, which isn't going to happen. So I think they'll still be a playoff team, but I think that can cost them the division, that inconsistency at quarterback with an often injured Garoppolo and a rookie quarterback in Lance. The Rams, defensively, maybe the best in the NFL. Donald, special talent. You have Jalen Ramsey, be the best cornerback. Their defense is going to be really good. I think offensively, Stafford is there. They can throw the ball maybe a little bit deeper than they did with Goff. I think all that is fine and good, but I still think they're a third place team in that division. Arizona, they're going to put up a lot of points. Kyler Murray's going to have some highlight plays, but they're still going to have a bad defense and finish fourth. Our conference championship game is Green Bay over Tampa. I think Rodgers does find a way to get the Packers into the Super Bowl in probably his last year with the franchise. And my Super Bowl pick is Buffalo over Green Bay. So that's what I have as far as Super Bowl goes. My MVP is Josh Allen. Look, Pat Mahomes will be in a conversation for the next 5 years. Tom Brady is Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers just won the award last year. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have some nice numbers. Matt Stafford, I think if he does really well in with the team in LA, he's going to get MVP love because they'll show difference from the previous person there. But I'm still going to go. And Baker Mayfield, he's in my top 5, 6, or 7. But I think it's going to be Allen. Buffalo, he's going to have a big regular season. He can lead them to 50 total touchdowns, which is not out of the question. If he does that, he's going to win the award. Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going with Devonta Adams of Green Bay. This award usually goes to the best non-quarterback Offensive Player of the Year. I think he has a chance to win the Triple Crown in receiving, which is catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns. He's going to be right there for all three of those categories. Green Bay is going to have a very big year. I think he gets the Offensive Player of the Year. The Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going with Aaron Donald of the Rams. He's already won the award 3 times and has 6 first-team All-Pro appearances in 7 seasons. That's the best start to a defensive career in the past 50 years, outside of Lawrence Taylor. Only Lawrence Taylor had all those things along with a Super Bowl and an NFL overall MVP. And Donald's been in the running for that over the past few years as well. I think he gets another one this year. I think the Rams still be a top defense. Myles Garrett from Cleveland, either of the Bosa brothers, Nick or Joey, Derwin James. I think Chase Young and Jalen Ramsey will all be interesting choices for that award, but I'm going with Sam Darnold. Coach of the Year, Brian Flores for the Miami Dolphins. This can go to so many guys. You go with either a team that underachieved the previous year and then plays really well. You can go with a team that continues with excellence and just builds from that. I think it's going to be a little bit of both with Flores. Though the Dolphins were a team that was in playoff contention last year, I think they make the leap into being in contention this year and even competing for the AFC East title. I think that'll be enough to Flores to get the award.